Hello and welcome to our channel. This is Missy and I am Jo and this is Joey Sewy. This is my sewing channel where I talk about sewing, knitting, creativity and life. I don't think you want to be here, do you? Okay, you can go down. Reluctant co-star there. So today we have a brand new kind of video for me and it's a favourites video. I watch quite a lot of these on YouTube and I like the way that they give you a little insight into somebody's life. So I thought I would give you my take on it and you can let me know down in the comments below what you think of it, and if you like it then we'll do this every month. So I have chosen some categories and I'm going to let you know what I've been into this month in the various categories. I'm not just going to talk about sewing, but it is all going to be related to my sewing and creative life. So don't run for the hills. If you came for the sewing, we're definitely covering that very well. But it's not just going to be that narrow. So my first category is what has been my favourite Instagram hashtag or my favourite post. Now I know not everyone uses Instagram and honestly I haven't been using it for very long. I've got into it because so many people were referring to things that they've seen on Instagram and challenges that happen on Instagram. Even though I don't take part in them, I enjoy looking at that sort of thing. So I jumped on the bandwagon and went there. And so my favourite hashtag and my favourite post that I've seen in the last month was hashtag visible mending. And I'm going to put a picture up here for you of my favourite post and I'll give a credit down below and of course I will link to it down below as well. I just love the idea of visible mending. Invisible mending is great too, but I love the idea of visible mending. It's something about the aesthetic. I like Japanese sashiko embroidery, and there are quite a few visible mending traditions in Japanese culture actually. There's another one where you mend pottery with visible soldering that you can either put gold plate in or buff to a really great shine, and I love how that looks as well. So this particular one where someone was mending their skinny jeans I just loved the way it looked. You know, she needed to mend her jeans, but actually she's ended up with something, in my opinion, that was way more beautiful than it started and so much more unique and tells a story about the garment and also is super practical. So it's fantastic on many different levels. So that has been my favourite. So if you use Instagram or if you'd like to have a go, hop on over to Instagram, put in hashtag visible mending or just follow my link down below and that will get you straight into that particular subject. Very interesting. Second, we're on YouTube, did you notice? So my second category is what has been my favourite video that I've watched over the last month. Now generally I think I'm going to stay away from sewing videos, but I'll probably immediately break that. But I thought I'd kind of talk about wider things or related stuff rather than other sewing YouTubers, because I don't want to get into playing favourites because there's so much good content out there. I thought I'd go around the edges about other relevant things because I like to find that sort of stuff as well. Having said that, this one is not really related to sewing at all, but hilarious in my view. It's a video about makeup. Stay with me. Sorry, I've got a really croaky throat today. And I think it's hilarious. If you don't like swearing, you're not going to like this video. Don't go and watch it. If you take your makeup very seriously, you're probably not going to like this video, so don't go and watch it. And if you're not a big fan of feminism, you're also probably not going to like the video, so don't go and watch it, okay? But if you've got a sense of humour, like mine, and if you don't mind a little bit of swearing, you can watch it when the children aren't there, then it's just hilarious. It's a sarcastic take on all those videos that you may or may not have seen about contouring your face with makeup. That's all I'm going to say. So if you aren't bothered by the little trigger warnings I just gave you, then go on over there and have a laugh. It's really good. Maybe don't watch it in a public place because you'll probably snort out loud. I hope you enjoy that one. So more specific sewing content. My next category is my favourite new sewing pattern that I've seen for the first time this month. So immediately breaking it, I chose two. The first one is the Bella Kimono Dress by Wear Lemonade, not Lemonade. I'm going to put a picture here, and oh, how stylish is that? I would just love to look like that. Whether I would wearing that garment, I'm not sure. Whether I will make a kimono dress, also not sure. I'm toying with it. I said in my last video about my October makes that this month I'm going to make a Christmas party dress, and I am, because I have a Christmas party to go to. I still haven't chosen the pattern, and I don't know, this might be a contender. I'm slightly, even though I've chosen it because the imagery is beautiful, and I like the idea of it, I am slightly worried that actually the reality will be really different. So I don't know, but it is just beautiful. Kimono style anything generally takes a lot of fabric, and this one does. It takes about 3 3/4 meters of fabric, so it's a lot of fabric, but I just love it. So you'll have seen the line drawings and you've seen the beautiful model wearing the dress, looking amazing. But yeah, I just thought that was fantastic. Wear Lemonade are a French pattern company. They do PDF patterns, so it's accessible to anyone anywhere in the world. You can get paper ones as well, and it's so chic, so French, so marvellous. My second one, I was just going to choose one, but then this one grabbed my attention as well. It's called the Morningside Dress and Shirt by a company called French Navy, who I don't really know the pattern company. I'm not certain I've ever seen their patterns before, but I really loved this feminine take on a shirt or a blouse. I think it's a shirt. So I didn't pick it for the shirt dress because I'm not a huge fan of shirt dresses, although I've got one or two. I don't find them, for me, I don't find that I reach for them very often, although I do like how they look on other people, but I love the shirt. And what I especially love is that gathering at the back of the yoke and the ruffle on the sleeve. So I feel like they take what is still really clearly a shirt, but they make them just a little bit more interesting, just a little bit more feminine, just a little bit more kind of oversized without it just being a square box. So I really liked that take on the shirt, so I thought I would show you that one as well. Those are my two favourite patterns that I've seen new this month. So getting into my personal sewing, I thought I'd have a category of my favourite me-made thing for this month. It's not always going to be something that I made this month. It's going to be the thing out of my me-made wardrobe that I am loving the most at this time. It does happen to be something I made in the last month actually, this time. I'm just going to reach for it. And it's my Dogtooth Check Thurlow trousers. They are a wide leg trousers. They have a fly front. I showed you these in my What Did I Make in October video. The facing is a stripe, and one of the things I love the most is that I put a stripe down the leg. And I'm just wearing these again and again and again. In fact, sometimes I'm having to stop myself from picking these up and wearing them because I feel like everyone thinks I'm going to be wearing the same clothes every day. But because there's some stretch in them, they are so comfortable. But because they're tailored, they look really put together. What's not to love? And I feel like the pattern is really current and really modern, so when I wear them I feel comfortable, I feel put together, and I feel modern. All of my wishes for how I want to be every day in one garment. So this has been my favourite me-made garment this last month. So next category, what is the favourite thing I have bought this month? I don't buy a lot of stuff, and I'm not just talking sewing stuff, I'm talking anything. But I decided the favourite thing I'd bought this month was an audiobook. I'm a huge fan of Audible. You've probably heard lots of people talk about Audible, I don't know. It's Amazon's audiobook arm. And I've been a member for years and years and years. I've got lots and lots and lots of audiobooks from them. In fact, I have a subscription, so it means that you get them for much better value. And the one I downloaded this month was the 7th book in a series that I've been following from the start. The series is called Rivers of London, and the 7th one, which might be the last one, I'm not sure if he's going to write any more, which breaks my heart a bit. But the 7th one is called Lies Sleeping. So you will like this book if it's kind of a detective story, the whole series, and you need to read them in order really, because it's a continuous story. Even though each book has an internal narrative as well, you kind of need to go back to the first one, which is called Rivers of London. The author is Aaronovich. They are based in London, and they are basically wizards in the police force. No matter how I try and describe this to people, either you get it and you go, oh yeah, I'm gonna love that, or you're like, wizards in the police force? Okay, no. I love fantasy, I love imagination, but I also kind of like a detective story, and this does both of them. So yeah, if you like magical realism, if you liked Harry Potter, but you would like something that's a bit more grown up, then this is really good. It's not necessarily suitable for children because there's quite a lot of swearing, and a couple of them are quite scary and dark, but it is fantastic storytelling, so much imagination, but also making it feel like it could be real. So I like that. I like an imaginary world that's not so far away from reality that you couldn't imagine that maybe, just maybe, there is a division of the police in London entirely run by wizards. I like to think I might live in a world like that. So, favourite podcast. I listen to a lot of things when I'm sewing. Some of them are audiobooks, we've covered that already. The other things are podcasts or radio replay programmes. So I live in the UK, we have the BBC, it is a marvel and a wonder, and they have their BBC Sounds app, which is basically a way of accessing any radio that they've broadcast in the last week at least, and a huge archive. But I also listen to podcasts from around the world, and my favourite at the moment is TED Daily. So you may have heard of TED Talks, they're huge, aren't they? They do a daily podcast, which is a little snippet podcast, usually no more than about 10 minutes. And there were 2 from that series, actually. It's a podcast I've only just recently found. And there were 2 that really caught my eye. So the first one was called Little Risks You Can Take to Increase Your Luck. And the speaker was Tina Sealing. She teaches entrepreneurship, and it's all about how to increase your luck, which, spoiler alert, there isn't any such thing as luck. It's about constantly looking for opportunities and planting seeds. But it was a really interesting talk. It's only 11 minutes long, so it won't take much of your life, and I found it quite inspiring. And then the other one, which I think was the day afterwards, so the Little Risks was actually one dated August 14th, I've got it written down there. And then the second one was from August the 8th. So they'll still be available, but they're not ones that were broadcast in the last month, but they're ones that I found in the last month. The other one was called Want to Be More Creative? Take a Walk. And it was a 5-minute summary of a scientific study that the speaker Marilee Opezo, I'm going to say that, took part in. And they basically did an experiment where they asked some people to be creative sitting still, they asked some people to be creative walking on a treadmill, and then they did the same thing, so some people to be creative after they'd stood still and some people to be creative after they'd walked on a treadmill. And the fantastic thing was that the people who'd walked and moved found they were more creative. It somehow got them going. And I loved that. I think it relates to sewing because it's my creative practice. And so if you get stuck, next time that you want to kick the machine or throw your project across the room, go for a walk instead. Partly because it won't cost you a lot of money to fix your machine that way, but also because it is scientifically proven that it will help you be more creative and problem solving. So my last category is my favourite gadget of the month. Now, I plan to keep this fairly sewing-y, and the first one is related to sewing/knitting. You might not think it is though, because my favourite gadget of the month is my new recumbent exercise bike. Yeah, honestly, it is to do with sewing. So here's a picture of it. I actually got it second hand off a Facebook selling group. I had to drive to Scotland to pick it up like a crazy person, although to be fair, I live quite close to Scotland. And I chose a recumbent exercise bike. That is the important bit for two reasons. Number one is I've had exercise bikes before and I'm too small for them. I don't care what they say about the seats being adjustable. I cannot comfortably reach those pedals. It doesn't work. They don't seem to make them for women's bodies, which really annoys me. Or maybe it's just that I don't find the riding position very comfortable. The second sewing-y reason is that I can knit or hand sew whilst cycling on this bike. Yes, I really did choose it for that reason. So if you've watched my channel for quite a while, you will know that I'm a yoga teacher. So in part of my job, obviously I get exercise, but I don't teach a style of yoga which is really aerobic. It's not a fast flowing style of yoga, it's much more slow and precise like that. So my strength is fine, my flexibility is fine, but my aerobic fitness is pretty poor. I also have two children, so if I don't go out and get some physical exercise while they're at school, it's really hard for me to do it at all, because once they're home from school, we're kind of chained to the house. So I decided the way to solve that, because my days when they're at school are already quite busy, the way to solve that is to get some kind of indoor exercise equipment. So then the thought process went, yeah, but I like spending all my time indoors doing sewing and knitting. And if I'm not doing that, maybe watching YouTube. So what could I do and still do those things? Basically trying to put as few barriers in the way as possible to getting more exercise. And I tried recumbent bikes many years ago when I used to have a gym membership, and I know that they're much more stable, much more easy to use. So that is what I went for. I've had it in the house for about 3 weeks now, and it is working. I didn't set myself any crazy targets about I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I just wanted to go on the bike for 10 minutes at a time, ideally 2-3 times a day. That's all. I'm not trying to train for a marathon, I'm not trying to train for a huge bike ride. I just want to increase my general level of aerobic fitness, and that's it. So little tiny goals for me are definitely much better than setting a massive goal and then failing and then thinking I'm awful and down we go. Don't want to go there. And it's worked so far. So I can knit whilst riding on my bike. I can hand sew whilst riding on my bike, and it has a little ledge in front of it, so I can watch YouTube whilst riding on my bike. So all things are working really well. So I hope you've enjoyed my favourites video. Like I say, if you've enjoyed it, then I'm going to do this every month and we will see where we go. If you've got any categories that you'd like to hear me talk about, then I would love to talk to you about them. Just let me know down below. Until then, please feel free to watch any other videos from my channel, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!